Game week 2 predictions for the Premier League. Let's go. Friday night football is Forest against Sheffield United this week, with both teams picking up a loss in game week 1. I think with these kind of fixtures this year, it's basically going to be who's the home team, let's go with them. It's still too early in the season to really pick up patterns of play and form and everything like that, so I will go with Forest 1, Sheffield United 0. Next up is Fulham against Brentford. Fulham winning their first game and Brentford with a draw. However, it is now looking very much likely that Mitrovic is going to be heading to the Saudi League. So both of these teams without their main striker, as it were, this season. I think we'll keep this one simple this week. Fulham 2, Brentford 0. Next up is Liverpool against Bournemouth. I got both results correct last week when I predicted both of these teams to get a draw against West Ham and against Chelsea. However, Chelsea probably should have won and they actually look really good. Liverpool, little bit hit and miss. Bournemouth against West Ham was a little bit different. I think it only makes sense here to go with Liverpool. We've seen how they can destroy them in the past, but I'm not going to go quite to that kind of scoreline this time around. I will go Liverpool 3, Bournemouth 0. Wolves v Brighton is next, and Brighton got off to a flyer, beating Luton 4-1, but maybe they'll be a little unhappy that they did concede a goal in that game because they were really solid and creating a lot of chances. But Wolves weren't bad either. They did lose against Manchester United, but that kind of came because they got absolutely robbed by the officials, not giving them a penalty in the last minute when Onana cleared, just absolutely cleared out a Wolves player. Easy, stonewall penalty. Nah, not given. They created a lot of chances in that game and really surprised me, to be honest. But I feel like this is just going to be too much for them. If Wolves had come into the second game week and had a really easy fixture, I would now be backing them to win based on what I saw in game week 1. But Brighton, just going to be too much for them. I'm going to go Wolves 1, Brighton 3. Spurs against Manchester United. Spurs with a 2-2 draw. Maddison involved in both goals. United, as we just said, getting that 1-0 win over Wolves. A little bit fortunate to do so. I think it's actually quite a hard game to call, and so I'm actually going to mimic Spurs' result against Brentford in this one, and I think I'm going to go for a draw here. Man United looked good at times, but their defence was way too open. Spurs, hit and miss. Their defence, again, just not looking that solid with the new players just yet, but you got to give them a little bit of time. They're now going to be adjusting to life without Harry Kane in their team, which is obviously huge for them. But Maddison in behind Richarlison with Kulusevski and Son should give them a good base going forward to at least score some goals and hope that the defence gels and settles a little bit more. Man United still trying to make some signings. That midfield still a little bit Mason Mount not having the best game for them in the opener. Bruno, Rashford up front. They need Højlund in this game, and by all accounts, he isn't going to be ready for this one, but maybe the next fixture. So I don't think I have that much faith in Man U, but I don't trust Spurs defence just yet. So I will go Tottenham 2, Man United 2. Now the most exciting fixture of this weekend is Manchester City up against Newcastle. Man City obviously got life underway with a 3-0 win away at Burnley on the opening game of the season. Relatively straightforward. Haaland gets 2 goals. However, De Bruyne's big injury that could rule him out for up to 4 months is massive for them, and so that could be a bit of a killer. Newcastle, on the other hand, got a massive unexpected win against Aston Villa. Even people that would have predicted Newcastle to get a win in that game would not have gone 5-1. Villa's defence just could not handle. Isak, you had Harvey Barnes coming on as a sub and getting a goal and assist. They were just running riot. So this is not just an exciting fixture, but if Newcastle show up and get at least a point here, this is exciting for the whole season because they could be exceeding expectations again this season. If they show up against Man City here and get anything other than a loss, we got to start taking Newcastle seriously as how far can this team go? Now, obviously the Champions League and other competitions aren't underway yet. to really see how a team like Newcastle can deal with not having the best squad depth in the world. It does look like they're going to be getting Lewis Hall from Chelsea, though. That's a really, really good signing for them. Whereas Man City are currently still trying to get Paqueta and getting other stuff over the line. It's really intriguing to see how these teams are going to do. I think I just have to, though. It's at the Etihad. I'd love to be wrong because it would be interesting, but I'm going to go Manchester City 2, Newcastle 1. As we move on to Super Sunday, we have got Aston Villa against Everton. Now, as we just talked about, Aston Villa not getting off to a great start. That game against Newcastle was a real shock and a bit of a blow to the start of their season. Obviously, it was going to be a tough fixture, but they would have hoped to maybe get a draw or push for a win against them, not get demolished. Everton, on the other hand, against Fulham, just kind of shows where they're at right now. It just isn't good enough. And they look like if they can get this newly signed striker firing for them, things might look a little bit different. But until then, they're not clinical enough with chances that they create. They're not good enough at the back, which is what Burnley used to be known for under Dyche. It's just a bit of a mess, really. So I have to go with a Villa win here, just based on what we've seen so far this season, even if it's only one game. And so for game week 2, I will be going for the first Super Sunday game, Aston Villa 3, Everton 0. We move on to West Ham v Chelsea as our next fixture, and West Ham disappointing. Not really that surprising. Bowen doing okay with his goal, but a draw against Bournemouth, whereas Chelsea may have drew against Liverpool, but they look really good at times. Really, really good. Enzo and Gallagher in midfield were solid. Chilwell and James, who, unfortunately the latter, has now got injured again. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? Does he need some kind of surgery that may keep him out for like 6 months, but will then stop him getting all of these like niggly little injuries that he keeps picking up? I hope for his sake that it is possible to fix this, because he's so good. When he's fit, he's probably the best right back in the world, but you can't rely on him, and that sucks. But those two together look really, really good, and Miss Jackson up front looks like a live wire. I'm really, really excited to see more from him. So I have to go with a Chelsea win here based on that performance from them, where whilst Liverpool may not be at their peak that they have been over the last couple of years, Chelsea still looks so good against them. So I will go for this one, West Ham 0, Chelsea 2. And the final game this week is Crystal Palace against Arsenal. There's been a lot of talk over the last few days about Elise potentially leaving to Chelsea, and that they had hit his release clause and it was up to him whether he was going to go or stay. And then Steve Parish comes out and tweets, oh yeah, Elise, he's staying. He signed a new 4-year contract. Everyone's just like, what? So huge for them to have him and Eze, rather than just Eze on his own, who is so good and was really good in their opening game. That's massive. Absolutely massive. Arsenal, away from home, you still got to fancy them. Declan Rice is obviously that game changer for them, as we all know. We have Timber, unfortunately for them, as another big signing, ruled out. I can't remember if it's his ACL or something similar, but he's out for a long, long time. And so a blow to them. Are they going to go and buy another defender because of how long this injury is for? We'll have to wait and see, but we could be seeing a return to maybe the back four that was playing throughout last season for Arsenal, or something very similar. And so they're still going to be massive favourites going into this game, and I feel like unless Eze or Elise have one of these crazy games where they just absolutely dominate and just glide through defences, then Arsenal are surely going to have a little bit too much for them in this fixture. And so I will be going Crystal Palace 1, maybe they'll nick a goal. Yeah, we'll go with that. Palace 1, Arsenal 3. So let me know your thoughts on these upcoming fixtures and how well you did with your predictions last week. I actually did quite well. I got some results right, and I also got at least one bang on scoreline, which is all that we can hope for each week, at least one correct score. So, I'm looking forward to doing more content. We've got a banging Neymar video coming very, very soon for you, which I hope you're going to enjoy. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thumb it up, subscribe, in a bit.